As Colleen mentioned at the beginning, our theme for June and July has been slow down for summer, and hopefully everybody is finding some time to slow down. Many of our readings during this stretch have been Jesus' parables of planting and growth. Turns out that agricultural metaphors are fertile soil for contemplating slowing down. Get it? Okay. Our parable today is the famous parable of the sower, which was in fact in the Bible before it was a dope Octavia Butler book. I even thought about titling today's sermon, Sow Down for Summer. Okay. I'm not going to apologize. Listen, Jesus says to us, a sower went out to sow. So far, so good. I'm just seeing if y'all are awake. Okay. As the sower tossed seeds out, some fell on a path and became bird food. Some fell on rocky ground and sprang up quickly, but didn't put down roots. Some fell among thorns and got choked by them, and some fell on good soil and brought forth grain. The disciples who hear this, once again showing all the intelligence of bird food, are confused by this story. Jesus, in fact, does them and us a favor by interpreting it for us a few verses later. And so today we can affirm with him that we want our hearts to be good, fertile soil where the love of Jesus can grow and blossom. But what makes Scripture the Word of God is that it is constantly speaking to us in the here and now. So today I am asking a specific question. What does this have to say about slowing down? And as a result, I'm less focused on the seeds on the path or among the thorns or even the seeds that landed on fertile soil. No, I'm most intrigued by this second set of seeds, the ones that Jesus says sprang up quickly. They sprang up quickly, right? They were moving fast, but they had no roots, so the scorching sun got them. In other words, they were moving too fast and didn't last. It wasn't just about the seed, it is about the speed. It takes time to put down roots, and putting down roots is how we flourish. A few weeks ago, I made the argument that when we slow down and take time for rest, we do actually get faster at doing some things. Today, I want to make a different argument entirely, that we should slow down for the sake of slowing down. Slowing down is its own inherent good, for that is how we put down roots. Seeds that sprout quickly and then die for lack of roots is actually a pretty common tale these days when you look around. We all want quick fixes and quick results and not really investment in sustainable change. Speed is one of the false idols of our modern world. I bet that half of the ads you see are for doing stuff faster. Get fit faster. Whiten your teeth faster. Fix your life faster. Half of us listen to podcasts so fast that when a normal person talks, it sounds like this. And if we connect other dots, we see this same story popping up. In our economy today, companies are rewarded more for their quarterly earnings reports than their long-term investment or sustainability. So executives have every incentive to chase fast money instead of developing roots. Or a world that measures economic performance by quarterly GDP is always going to neglect some of the long-term consequences of human dignity, worker dignity, or climate change. Here's one I've mentioned before. The faster that people can share stuff on social media, the faster they are able to share it, the worse the stuff they share is, by and large. So what it turns out is that if you make it harder to share something you saw with others, it forces you to slow down, evaluate whether that information really is true, Discern whether you're just sharing it because righteous anger feels good and it feels great to be like on the side of right in this instance, or because it really did need to be shared with everyone in your feed. And studies have found that slower sharing means less misinformation and hate out there. And here's one you may not have thought about. People are always trying to figure out how to train these AI models to make fewer mistakes. They have tried different approaches, different algorithms, different data sets, looking at the biases inherent in all of them, all of it. And some researchers came along and said the fundamental problem is we are trying to do it too quickly. If you want to make fewer mistakes, stop trying to train an AI in hours or days and give yourself a few years. It seems we've been doing the equivalent of giving a child genius the nuclear codes and expecting them to make good decisions with those codes just because they're bright. A sad one that you may not know is that quick growth without roots is actually the megachurch model. Just because a church has 30,000 people doesn't mean those 30,000 are the same people year after year after year. The dirty little secret of megachurches is that they actually churn people pretty fast. They constantly need to be growing just in order to stay the same. And so you end up with a fast food equivalent of church. It's all about the music, the show, the easy answers, and the hard sell. It's cheap. It's immediately gratifying, right? Like a McDonald's burger. Makes you feel great for about 30 seconds. But they can't really focus on discipleship or transformation or people's unique perspective on faith. All you do is you get them damned and you get them saved, like the old country preacher said. Instead, what we've been thinking about this summer is, what does slow church look like? A community flowing from deep connection to each other and the sharing of lives. Worship with space for silence and deep breaths. Reading the Bible not to unlock the code or find the rule, but simply to sink into the story. Let it shape you, shape how you see the world, how you understand what's going on in your life. Giving people a break on being in church every single Sunday because we know folks got a lot going on in their lives these days. Evangelizing not through fear of hell or peer pressure, but by simply saying, yeah, here's this thing that I'm a part of, and it means a lot to me, and I'm a better person because I've spent time here, and if you want to come along, I will bring you. And if you say no, I'm going to accept that as an answer. I'm not going to bother you about it. Making prayer, for instance, not a checklist, but just a little talk with Jesus. We're going to sing that in a second. Just quality time in God's presence. Through practices like silent prayer or breath prayers. There's one in your bulletin. Or journaling. Slow church means sitting with people's questions instead of rushing to answers, and honoring people's unique spiritual journeys, and instead of telling ourselves we have to have it all figured out, we have to have the answers, we have to have it right now. It does turn out there's a method to our madness around here. Right? We try to put this stuff into practice. I know my first career before ministry was in the tech and politics world. And when I first got into ministry, I was just like constantly annoyed at how slow everything felt like it was moving, because I was used to, like, you haven't responded to my email within 12 minutes, so I'm going to send you a text message because, get on it, man. But I made a ton of mistakes, especially those first few years. I rushed into things. I messed up. Didn't bring people along with me, and I have learned the value of going slow, right? Of letting things play out, letting situations develop. Practicing slow church might not help you grow quickly, but you will develop roots in fertile soil that helps you survive the scorching sun. And we here in Georgia know a thing or two about scorching sun. So today in our world, we have fast fashion, fast food, fast casual, one-day shipping, and tech bros shouting, "Move fast and break stuff." The problem, of course, is that fast does not mean good, does not mean lasting. It says nothing about whether you're experiencing joy or being alive to the blessings God is pouring into your life. In fact, you could argue that all of the fruits of the Spirit that Paul lists in Galatians, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control, all have one common enemy: speed. And patience might be the key one to all of them now. And I know that a lot of us are trapped in systems where it feels like we don't have a choice. We have to move fast to appease our bosses and our clients, and yes, by bosses and clients, I also mean your children who can be bossy and have needs and so many birthday parties. A lot of us are trapped in speed systems we don't control. At the same time, we have more power than we think. A few months ago, I was at a makerspace where I do woodworking stuff, and I was talking to this guy about his woodworking project and admiring it, telling him what a great job he was, and I said, "Hey, did you cut all of those joints by hand?" And he laughed like it was the craziest question anybody had ever asked, and was like, "No, that's way too slow." As if it's an insane idea, not like the way people did this for most of human history, right? And this is not a guy trying to make money. I get it if he's just trying to make money, right? This is his hobby. It's supposed to be fun. But speed is still his idol. And that stuck with me because I've been trying to slow down my hobbies. I've been trying to use hand tools instead of a machine, even though I'm bad at it, because it forces me to slow down. The joy of a hobby, of art, of creativity, of making stuff is not about the speed or the outcome, but the journey itself. It's what the obsession with AI art misunderstands. It's not about what you end up with. Art and making is about the roots you put down along the way, the very practice of it. The slowness of it isn't an obstacle, it's the point of the whole thing. It's one reason I think Paul peppers his letters with this language of mothering and pregnancy and childbirth, because of the patience that pregnancy teaches you, that motherhood teaches you. If Jesus has a message for us, if the cross has any message for us, it's that growth and growing, loving and making, creation and even death, these hard and sometimes mundane things, they are part of life. Trying and failing and starting over, the boring, the chores, the needing to get dressed and make dinner just so that you can do laundry and do dishes, the struggling and co-creating with God, all of that. These things are not barriers to living. They are the stuff of life itself. Your life is made up of these moments, whether they are special, whether they are holy, even sacred. That depends on what you make of them. The constant drive to hurry up, to rush, that's what I like to say, letting Pharaoh live rent-free in your head, demanding more bricks from the Israelites before God intervened. And Xander was right about that biblical story, by the way. God rescued the Israelites from that. Jesus rescues us from that. He invites us to slow down and actually live our lives. No matter how much the world wants you to speed up today, we can choose to slow down. We can choose to not respond to that text message instantly, to step away from our phones. We can choose to not reply to that really annoying email for a day or two until we've calmed down and we can bring our best selves to the conversation. We can choose, it turns out, Couples, this one's for you. Not to say the first thing that pops in your head when someone is being difficult, but to actually wait and calm your body and regulate your emotions and put on what Jesus Christ calls the mind, or what Paul calls the mind of Christ. We can choose to offer patience to other people when they are taking longer than we would like. There's a mercy in this. We can choose to let things play out instead of jumping to conclusions and assuming we know how this ends and freaking out about it. Just wait and see. We can choose to stop rushing around because we'd rather keep busy than deal with stuff. Stuff like hurt, guilt, grief, trauma, stuff that lives in our bodies that we've buried way down. We can slow down and actually grow roots and become more cohesive people and begin to heal. I almost called this sermon Sew Down for Summer, but the actual title is this: How to Do the Dishes Slower. So if you start typing how to do the dishes into Google, one of the top suggested questions will be faster. But this week, we're going to put all this slowing down stuff into practice by actually trying to do the dishes slower. And here's how. Start by making it an act of prayer. Not a talking kind of prayer, an embodied spiritual practice. Not just a chore. It's a way of honoring God in this moment. And that means you're going to deliberately try to do everything at half speed. Wash dishes on half speed, rinse them on half speed. You're going to start with gratitude. You have a whole pile of dishes in the sink. You have a whole pile of dishes. You have more than one spoon. You have more than one bowl. What a blessing it is to have such luxury in our lives. You're going to pay attention. And you're going to pray with soap and water, remembering that God is with you, present with you, not just in holy moments and holy places, but even in the ordinary and the messy. So don't go on autopilot and start worrying about all the stuff that's stressing you out or thinking about what you would rather be doing right now. Don't rush off when this quiet and reflection brings stuff up in you you'd rather not deal with. Instead, stay rooted in God's presence with you, even in the midst of this boring chore. And when your mind wanders off, simply come back to God, to what you are doing and to God. There is a mercy in slowness that God extends to each and every one of us. And we, in turn, can extend that mercy to others. And you may discover that when you slow down, when you wash the dishes slower, you can do things with more love and thus discover God's love enfolding you.